Hi everyone, Gary Glandon here. And today I'm sitting down with Stuart Fenton. And Stuart Fenton is the chairman and CEO of Quantic. And Quantic is a Microsoft Dynamics implementation partner, and he works with organizations to streamline their Dynamics environment and provide a reliable, trustworthy network for his clients, and also provide a great client experience. Today we're going to talk about how Stuart managed and led throughout the COVID crisis that's still continuing, and how he's used genuine leadership to really help manage this, which we believe is so important and I think will be critical going forward. So I'd like to welcome Stuart. Stuart, my first question is, can you tell me a little bit about the business and where you were at prior to when COVID hit, kind of late 2019 or so?
It's interesting. At the end of 2019, we had a strong pipeline, a really strong pipeline, and a strong order book. So we measure kind of ourselves by the order book is stuff we've won that we're in the middle of delivering. And when we looked at that, it was the biggest order book we'd ever had. We could see bookings out for months, easy the year and into the next year. And all the numbers looked like, we were going to have this record year, unbelievable record year. And the pipeline of new business that we had yet to win looked also strong. So a combination, this kind of fabulous combination of a great business we were won in the middle of delivering. We got an increasing amount of recurring revenue that we'd been building up for some time.
Right.
Pipeline. So I was confident of, every year for us is a record year because we're in it. We're in a market that's growing. Microsoft Business Applications is a growth area.
No doubt.
But beyond that, it was just this unbelievably exciting, prospects for the year. So we kind of exited 19 coming into 20 full of confidence.
Yeah, sure.
I turned around to my team and said, this is, we could bust our best expectations of this year. We had plans to open a back office in India. We had plans to open up a US office. We had a number of things we were going to do. And then, COVID hit us. It started getting really scary early February. We stopped people coming to the office. And then as we got to late February, we were kind of pushing people out of the office. March the 11th, I think it was, or 10th or 11th, around that time, we closed the office about 3 weeks before the government started mandating closures.
Yeah.
And using technology like this to talk to people, it was fine. And we instantly got a number of cancellations, project cancellations.
Really?
And I got my team together and said, okay, we need to do a classic profit improvement plan. We're going to look at all our costs. We're going to look at all our income, and we don't have to make a profit. We just don't want to make a loss.
Right.
Cash flow, okay. I'm not to try and profit or do anything. And we came up with this principle of let's keep every employee. There were government programs to furlough employees and make layoffs. So we're going to keep everyone, because last thing you want to do is have something that lasts 6 months, make them redundant, do a layoff, and they can't work and they have all these personal problems. We're going to keep everybody.
It's awesome.
Unless somebody's not performing, at which point we got rid of them anyway, right?
Right.
But in general, we were going to focus very aggressively on keeping everybody.
And how many people did you have at that point?
We were 211, 212, something like that. Plus contractors. So we did have probably about 35, 40 contractors who were working over that. And we did slow down our consumption of contractors, didn't completely eliminate it, but slowed it down because obviously they've got other revenue sources.
Right.
But yeah, so we started seeing these reductions. So our cost reduction plan, our profit improvement plan, was around everything else other than people, and actually it was really effective. Every company finds you leave money on the table in every corner of every office of every business.
No doubt.
And we literally cleaned up we identified millions in annualized savings, or a couple of million annualized savings that we could take with changes, plus a bunch of cash preservation initiatives. So, for example, we said to people, look, we're not going to pay any bonuses or sales commission.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to keep the job, but from a cash point of view. Now, we'll accrue it in our P&L. So it is due to you, and it will be recorded in the P&L as a liability, but we're not paying it to preserve cash.
Got it.
And we weren't going to do the pay increase. We do a mid-year merit increase, annual increase. We won't do that. And everyone said, no, this is fine. Everyone was okay. We're still paying expenses. We're still doing everything we would normally do, paying salaries, etc., all on time. No issues.
And you were straight open with the employees, right? This is what we're doing. This is So it was all transparent.
Yeah, so we had a monthly. You would call it a town hall,
right?
But we used to call it a powwow, a monthly powwow. I'd stand up. It would be videoed, live streamed.
Yeah.
I'd have maybe 60, 80 people in the room. Probably about 80 people in the room with me, plus all the other teammates dialing into this, and we'd record and share everything going on. We switched that immediately to weekly, remote, using this technology. And every week we updated them what was going on. So we had this initial impact of cancellations, and you start thinking, and you start projecting what the impact of these cancellations would be, and you start thinking, okay, maybe we're gonna have to make people do 4-day weeks, all those things. But we said we won't do that, anything like that, until the absolute last minute. And I, allocated. I have fortunate from my previous success, I was able to rely on some funds, and I made them available for the company. That was the first few weeks. But what was really interesting, and it's partly a nature of what we do, we're in cloud technology,
right?
Modernization technology. Clients out there and companies out there were looking at stuff saying, wow, we're not really prepared to work remotely. Our technology isn't good enough for this world. And we're in a situation where we need to make some decisions quickly. And we started to rapidly replace those cancelled projects. And then about 80% of those cancelled projects uncancelled themselves and said, no, we're going to carry on. They got through that initial thing of everyone started working from home, and is this going to work? And actually, technology has been great for ages. Maybe this was the momentum that industry needed, that, we don't all need to be in the office every day.
Right, I agree.
Always had a hot desk, 200 something employees and 90 desks. But maybe that ratio can be even more. You need a place to collaborate and get together and meet and engage, but you don't need to go to an office every day to type stuff out.
No.
Or developers or what have you.
Right.
Assuming they've got home working space.
Right.
But we started seeing this revenue come through. We started seeing the money come through. It was fascinating.
That's awesome.
We replaced all the revenue. We started to grow at about 20-25% revenue. The order book continues to grow. The pipeline continues to grow. I sit here today.
And Stuart, I'm sorry, this was in a few weeks or a month.
This by May.
Timeframe?
By May.
Okay.
We were able to look at it and say, actually, we're okay. So I immediately told people we were going to, as soon as it was clear we were fine.
Yeah.
We were going to pay the bonuses from Q1 that we hadn't paid and sales commissions in the first quarter. We paid.
Nice.
And actually, by the time we'd made the decision, we actually paid pretty much everybody on time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Right. So we paid them roughly on the time they would have got paid it anyway. So we said, look, things look okay. We're going to pay, but we can't guarantee next quarter yet.
Right.
As we got into June, wins were still piling up, right? New business, new wins were coming in. Microsoft were pretty supportive as well. Obviously we're primarily a Microsoft partner for high-end business applications, ERP and CRM and the like. And Microsoft was supportive. They didn't give any more leads than normal, but we were getting opportunities. But we had a lot of go-to-market initiatives of our own that were very successful. And actually, the one thing I did do is I increased the sales headcount and increased the marketing spend through that period. So I doubled down on sales and marketing whilst kind of being really tight everywhere else. we got into June, the numbers looked so good. I said, right, okay, we're just going to carry on paying bonuses and commissions. That's going to carry on coming. And we'd held back things like we do values awards each quarter. If somebody, is recommended by the team, we give them money and vouchers. We settled all of those straight away, and all the new ones started being allocated.
Mm-hmm.
The annual salary increase, we just put it back a couple of months. That's all. So people still get it in the year. And dare I say, other than the fact that we're all working from home, it's business as usual. But that was our journey. It was kind of this roller coaster of terror and making decisions and worrying, but not furloughing or not taking loans or any of that stuff. We had enough resources as a business.
Mm-hmm.
We got through it pretty well.
Absolutely. Sounds like it.
I think that's a nature of partly the market space we were in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helped, but also we spent more on sales and marketing and were more active and proactive. We had our salespeople. Typically we get a lot of leads in because of our marketing activities.
Right.
I was worried they were all going to dry up, so I got the sales. And these are very expensive salespeople. They wouldn't be familiar with the salespeople you and I when we worked together, 100 years ago. Those people who made calls all day.
Right.
It wasn't these type of sales, but that's not this. These are very high end, very professional salespeople. The much longer sales cycles, client engagement. So
right.
It's much cheaper to feed them with warm opportunities than get them to pick up the phone. And I said to them, look, we need your help. We're worried. I need you to pick up the phone, and we put together campaigns that you would be very familiar with from our old days.
Right.
We put these, and we got these guys, these 50, 60-year-old sales guys who hadn't done cold calling for 30 plus years, and they started cold calling.
Wow.
They were generating so many leads and opportunities. We had to stop because the marketing was still being effective.
Wow.
Marketing was still giving us leads. They were still doing outbound calling, and then they still are today. Here we are, early July.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still doing the campaigns and the calls, and it's still yielding leads.
Mm-hmm. So the cold calling piece, those salespeople were going to physically see people, and now did they ever go physically to see people?
Yeah, they were, our field sales guys were never they were in the office occasionally, but they were on the road.
Got it.
They are, professionally dressed, and
sure.
and they drive to their clients or engagements or prospects and meetings.
And they give presentations and the whole 9 yards on the software. And
exactly. And they bring out pre-sales specialists who demonstrate the software. We went these guys on the road in their shiny cars to working from home. Now, most of them are very successful, and in fact, they're all very successful. And, so they have nice studies, and they could work.
Yeah.
And they, to a man, they said, look, I've got more time because I'm not commuting and I'm not traveling, so I can prepare and I can spend. And this technology they found worked. I mean, you look at, we are several thousand miles apart.
Right.
There's almost no delay. Picture quality is, fantastic.
Exactly.
Teams and Zoom were a little bit depressed in terms of performance initially with the big jump, but Microsoft allocated more resources, and hey presto, picture quality and sound quality improved within a few days, really.
Yeah.
But it's been fascinating.
That's awesome. And so tell me about the hashtag no guilt.
Well, we had two hashtags. We've got another one actually coming out next week. We had the first hashtag that I said to the team when things started looking grim. I said, we are not going to, as a company, we're going to make the right decisions about being cautious, but we're not going to be miserable. We're going to look for the sunshine. So we created a hashtag looking for sunshine.
Okay.
And it was about everyone finding the opportunity, looking for the positive, identifying either savings or new clients or new opportunities. And it created a culture of success in our company that I believe made a difference just by saying to people, we are not cutting, we're growing and investing.
Yeah.
We're not growing and investing everything. We're doing the things that feed the business.
Right.
And then with no guilt, the hashtag no guilt, that came out largely as I have these sessions with random groups of teammates every week or so. It's usually every week, it's every 2 weeks now. And so we'd get a random group of teammates, internal comms person, Lisa would then pull these random groups together, get them on a call. we'd have 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Say, what's worrying you? What's in your mind? All that kind of stuff.
Right.
And in these sessions, it was very obvious talking to people that people were working harder and more intensely. They're working at home. You get up, you have a shower, hopefully.
Right.
And they're getting online earlier because they can.
Right.
And they're working through and potentially later. They're not taking breaks because you get into it and call, video call and meeting and making notes and people started saying, this is really intense. I'm working really hard.
Yeah.
And then it came out. Somebody said to me, somebody said it to Lisa actually. One of the calls. We have a team called the Make a Difference team,
mm-hmm.
and the Make a Difference team is an employee representative group of teammates who kind of articulated this and saying, people are feeling guilty if they miss when somebody rings you on Teams or Zoom or an email or they call and you're not there because you've gone to the kitchen or something.
Right.
Wait a sec, this is a problem. We've said right from the beginning, everyone should take a break. Everyone should go for a walk, to the extent it's not raining. Here that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did.
That's awesome.
We said, look, you shouldn't feel guilty. So we did #NoGuilt.
Yeah.
Everyone, you should be taking breaks. We had pictures of people going out on their kayaks or walking their dogs or whatever it is. And we started making sure people were celebrating the things they did when they weren't at their desk. And it's built momentum in our company. I mean, it was interesting on a call just today with my COO, who's come back to me and said, look, meetings are taking over time. We need to think about having a sort of a no guilt, no meeting day, or no guilt, no meeting afternoon or something, and
right.
settling on a sort of focus Wednesday, and on Wednesday afternoon you can't have any internal meetings, none.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's the time you get stuff done, thinking time, other whatever it is. If client wants you, sure.
Right.
Other clients, no meetings, and we haven't kind of bottomed that out, but that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So it's not me, it's me listening to others and hearing that people feel guilty, and
sure.
You don't feel guilty. They're working harder than ever before.
Exactly. No, it's brilliant. I really like the looking for sunshine, because really, I mean, really in the midst of, even the clients I was talking to, my clients, and they're, your level or COOs, and then basically, people are running around with their hair on fire. It's like, well, step back and basically do what you did. Look at the business. How do you preserve cash? One company, they were 14 billion, right? So we actually sat down, we went to LA right before COVID, set their strategy, focused on things, because net profit is what the street looks at for them. We said everything that would drive net profit, and then COVID hit. And of course, the revenue dropped because they were focused on net profit and cut expenses. Their net profit actually went up, and their stocks, dropped to 99. It's back up to 164. And it's like at the end of the day, there were two issues. One is, how do you protect the revenue, right? Which you did. How do you look at the P&L? And the other one is it's a big safety issue. How do you protect your employees? I said, I come from the chemical business. If you screw that up, people die. Well, this isn't much different. Only it involves your customers, your employees, and so it's a broader issue. But people are running around with their hair on fire, and you just looked at it logically. And I like that you injected a positive. Look for the sunshine, not only look for the cost, right? Or only look to cut or hurt the people.
And it's interesting in our business, our CFO, Derek, was like, yeah, this is the way we got to go. The CFO is usually the one who's, let's cut everything. Let's not spend anything. Let's turn the lights off.
Right.
Right. That kind of stuff. And actually, he was the one who was, we got to focus on the positive. He's worked with me for a while now, 6 years. And he knows that, I'm a little bold and a risk taker. And, on a few occasions, that's made him a little bit nervous.
Right.
Because we've taken risks. So far, they've paid off. He was the one who's saying, no, we need to look for the sunshine. We need to find those opportunities. Culturally, everybody was minded to be on the front foot. Well, in the organization you're in, I'm you were advising, I would imagine that you're sitting there thinking, they could just sit here and just cut even more costs. But
exactly.
Expenses are okay. They kind of look after them. Some of them look after themselves, like travel. Travel is a big line in everyone's P&L. Suddenly it's not spent.
Right.
it can double a lot of people's profit, just that line alone.
I know. It's crazy.
But and you see that from a people point of view, we spend more. In fact, I'm sitting here, there's a hamper in the corner. The end of the June, we said, we've done well and we're paying everybody. We're going to send everyone a thank you hamper. And it's got, candy and coffee and tea and biscuits, cookies, whatever it would call.
Yeah.
We send it to everybody.
That's
said,
awesome.
Little note saying thank you. Thank you for your support. We got through it. We're at the other side of this.
That's awesome.
And it's with a note from me and stuff. I didn't handwrite every single note because
I
physically can't send them out. We have a partner who does that for us. But wrote the words, and I think that was what we've done. But from your point of view, in HR, people are your number one asset. It's so often said that it has no meaning anymore, that people's number one asset, but they really are.
I know.
And if you don't look after them, you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact is, you showed that you cared. You genuinely cared. And people understand you got to cut expenses. People understand you can't be extravagant. They have their own families and budgets. They know when things are tight, they don't go out and have a $500 dinner and order 15 bottles of wine. They just don't do that. And if you don't do that, they get it. It makes sense.
Right.
It's just.
I think people. You have to give a lot of credit to your organization and people. People get it.
They do. I always tell people, if you want to really know something about the CEO, ask the janitor. They've figured them out.
Yeah.
Just in a 1 minute interaction of emptying the trash, they've already figured them out.
Yeah, they would see a lot of chocolate wrappers. but I think there's merit in that. I mean, look, you and I worked together, a while ago. If I reflect back on that time, we spent a lot of time talking about benefits and values. I'm not sure when we were both in corporate America whether that was really genuinely felt around the management team, around that table. Did people really care about the employees as they were? And we had this stuff about teammates. I've still used the terminology,
right.
And the predecessor and certainly successors and stuff. Did they really, really care? It pains me to say it, but I'm not convinced they did.
Yeah.
And I think it is a moment like we've going through that they probably now do. They recognize it. But when we set the company up, we had this criteria, myself and Peter Martin, we sat down and said, we want to create a company. Peter joined me, if you recall him.
Yeah, of course.
We want to create a company that we would want to work for if we didn't own it.
Right.
And what do you have to do? And how do you make a company feel like a great company?
Yeah.
And we did daft things like we buy everything, breakfast every day. We supply breakfast every day.
That's great.
The refrigerator is filled with the sodas, as you call Cokes,
right,
7-Ups, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
There's always food and snacks and fruit and cookies and cakes and we send stuff to people's houses and we do tech loans for people where people want a piece of tech, whether they don't have to be using it for work. You want an iPad for your kid or something, but perhaps you can't afford it this month, what have you. But borrow the money from the company. Pay it back 12, 15 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now doing exactly the same thing for the home office equipment. You want a better chair for home? Good chair is £500-600. Company will buy it and pay it back over a period of time. That's fine. Take a loan.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So and I think that's what we tried to do from the outset. I don't know if I felt that way as strongly previously. I felt like the people were there to do a task which we needed them to do. We hired them. We paid them well to do it.
Right.
I probably wasn't as thoughtful to people's position. And I think that's the nature of American.
I think it is. And you hit the nail on the head, because I believe that most people sitting around the table don't buy into it, because one thing, especially publicly traded companies, they're so focused on the P&L that the people become instruments to getting that, a healthy P&L. And you get rid of them, you add them, you do whatever, only to get the goal of a healthy P&L, which of course will help the stock price, right? And there's so much pressure on that side. It takes a real strong, value-driven CEO to say, okay, that's not the most important thing, right? Because, and there's very few of those, if any. Now, I think what's going to change because of this whole COVID and everything is leaders like yourself that are genuinely believe it now and see it and are doing it. Genuine's a big word, right? Because I think people say the right thing and you know, they have the plaques on the wall and all that, but most of it's just bull, right? They don't follow it. But you're genuinely following. I can tell by the way you talk about it. It's in your heart, not just in your head. Some people use it as it's almost like an internal marketing. If I internally market this to the people and tell them how much I care as a marketing campaign, this will work, right? That's not going to work anymore. It's going to have to be genuine.